in the request, there's implied in that there is going to be a closure conversation coming about that. And that's the thing that starts building the accountability, is that you have that in place. But you can look for yourself, how many people, how many of the stuff that you get requests for, that you agree to do and you do, you then don't hear anything about. You don't know, was it, I mean, yes, you know you gave it to them, but other than that, you don't know anything about it. And you can look for yourself, how does that, what's the impact on you? For most people, at some point, it just becomes like demoralizing. It's not demoralizing, but you're not like excited about it. You don't feel like it's how many of you feel overly appreciated and over recognized?
Oh yeah.
Good job raising.
So that's one of the key things in the area of closure, is that people don't feel recognized, they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel taken care of, and it's none of the big stuff. If you haven't looked, there's an interesting book, 12 Elements of Great Managing. It's put out by Gallup. It's a couple years old. But one of the things they make very clear is that people's relationship with work is a function of the person who manages them. And it has nothing to do with the incentive systems and all the big promotion systems. It pretty much has to do with the day-to-day interactions they have with the people who manage them. And one of the key things that you find in that book as you go through, they don't use the distinctions, you'll find that there's not a lot of closure, and the people who come in and turn things around are really good at what we would classify as performance and closure conversations. They're just really good at it. So it's really key to, keeping people engaged and keeping people feeling like what they're doing matters. You shouldn't count on them doing it. The recommendation is don't count on them doing it, which means you would.
So you initiate it?
Yeah, so, say Kim, I do something for Kim and I bring this in, I bring the thing into Kim and I'm kind of, hey, little closure here. And she doesn't, she's just doing her work. I could say, look, I just want to acknowledge that I got this for you on time like I promised. And I hope you appreciate that this took me this to do. And in my case, if I was doing it, I may think she has something to apologize for. And, like she was supposed to give me information, she didn't, and I never heard from her. And I think she should apologize because she made all that harder effort. But I'd switch it and I'd say, look, I want to apologize for not coming to you when I know you didn't provide that information you said you were going to provide for me. And I made you wrong for doing that and got really upset and I never told you about that. She would now know, oh my God, I forgot all about that. But you're the one who's taking responsibility for it rather than making her the one that she's got to do that stuff. All the conversations you can completely manage from the standpoint, they're not going to do it, so let me provide it. And it just requires somewhat of a switch in orientation rather than expecting you owe me an apology. Oh, let me apologize for not coming to you about the fact that you didn't do what you said you would do, or whatever the issue is. And then, if you did amend the agreement, I'd say, and here's my promise. In the future, I promise to communicate to you. Because somebody who is habitually not performing and then says, I'll now perform better. What in the world happened that is going to dramatically change that? What was the huge insight that altered your life? What do you now put in place that's a complete restructuring of the way you work that would now have you all of a sudden be this incredibly trustworthy person? That's, and it's not that those transformations and those alterations don't occur. but I'd be really interested. If Andy is, 50% of his promises aren't any good, and he says, "Oh, I'll never be late again." God, that's awesome, Andy. What in the world happened? Wouldn't you be curious? I mean, why all of a sudden he's never, what happened? That would be a real curiosity. He went to the Himalayas and he met with the monks and saw, and he's, okay, cool.
He bought an alarm clock.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, when you saw the thing with, if you watch Tiger Woods' apology, he's made it really clear he's going to need help to keep that, given the life he's lived, to all of a sudden change. It's going to require a whole structure of support, and he said that. He doesn't necessarily know what that means, but you got the idea that he's going to have to put a whole new structure in place. They're wondering, who around him is going to get fired and stuff, because the structure around him is insufficient. So it's the same idea. If he'd have just said, "Oh, never going to do that again," I wouldn't accept his promise. Closure conversations, all these conversations are straight talk. Straight talk requires a huge commitment to service and the development of another human being. The only reason I would talk to anybody about that is I'm actually committed to and interested in that they win at their job so that we can win at what we're out to accomplish together. I'm not out to do damage to anybody. So it's a way to relate to people that serves both them and you in the accomplishment of what you're there to accomplish.